spent the last 4 chapters following a journey that, in one way or another, belongs to all of us. We discovered the hidden doors we walked through long before we understood why. We watched survival quietly become habit, habit become atmosphere, atmosphere become the stories we believed about ourselves. And perhaps, somewhere along the way, we realized something unexpected. None of those things happened because we were born broken. They happened because we learned. We learned what felt safe. We learned what to hide. We learned how to survive. But if fear can be learned, if hiding can be learned, then perhaps something else can be learned too. That is where this final chapter begins. Not by asking how we return to the people we once were, but by discovering who we've been beneath the fear all along.
You know what I've always found interesting? We spend so much of our lives trying to get back to the way things used to be. After a divorce, after losing a job, after addiction, after illness, after grief. We tell ourselves, if I can just get back. But life has never really worked that way. I've been wondering lately, what if healing was never about going back? What if it's about finally becoming the person we were always meant to be, before fear started making our decisions for us? For years I thought recovery meant rebuilding the life I'd lost. My marriage, my career, my reputation, my family. Looking back, I don't think that was the invitation. I wasn't being invited to rebuild my old life. I was being invited to build an honest one. That realization changed everything. Not overnight. Life rarely works that way. But little by little, I stopped asking, how do I get my old life back? I started asking, how do I become an honest man? I used to think radical acceptance meant giving up. I couldn't have been more wrong. It was finally putting down the argument I'd been having with reality. Years ago, Jesus said, "You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." Looking back, freedom wasn't escaping my past. Freedom was realizing I had nothing left to hide. Have you ever noticed children don't spend much time pretending? They laugh, they cry, they ask for help. Maybe healing isn't becoming someone new. Maybe it's remembering who we were before we became afraid. Looking back, I still carry scars. Some relationships may never fully heal. Some consequences remain. But my scars no longer remind me only of where I've been. They remind me that surviving isn't the same as living. I've been thinking about something lately. Maybe home was never a place. Maybe home is the moment you no longer have to pretend. So let me leave you with one thought. What part of you has been patiently waiting all these years for permission to stop pretending? Maybe today you don't have to carry it alone anymore. Builder's Workshop, helping people build honest lives, one honest conversation at a time.
Earlier, Eric said something that may have sounded surprising. He said children don't spend much time pretending. Of course they pretend. They pretend they're astronauts, superheroes, explorers. They imagine impossible worlds because imagination is one of childhood's greatest gifts. But that's not the kind of pretending he was talking about. No child is born pretending not to hurt. No child is born pretending not to be afraid. No child is born believing they have to earn love by hiding their tears. They learn that, sometimes through words, sometimes through silence, sometimes simply by watching the people they love. And if hiding can be learned, then authenticity can be learned again. Maybe that is the hope woven through every chapter you've just watched. We are not prisoners of the adaptations that once helped us survive. We can learn a different way. We can tell the truth. We can ask for help. We can become curious instead of ashamed. We can choose honesty over hiding. Healing doesn't ask us to become someone we've never been. It gently invites us back to the person we were before fear convinced us we had to disappear. Perhaps that has been home all along.
When I began writing my memoir, I thought I was trying to explain my life. Looking back, I think life was trying to explain me. For years, I believe my greatest failures were addiction, divorce, losing my career, becoming homeless, and living behind masks. I had spent a lifetime creating. For a year, I stood outside these doors, not as a visitor, as someone who called this place home. Every morning, I wondered whether life would ever become something different. Looking back, I wasn't standing at the end of my life. I was standing at the beginning of an honest one. Those things changed my life, but they didn't define it. What defined my life was the day I stopped asking, how do I get my old life back? And started asking, who am I becoming? Somewhere along this journey, I discovered something I wish I had understood years earlier. Children aren't born hiding who they are. They learn it. They learn what feels safe. They learn what to say, what not to say, when to smile, when to stay quiet, when pretending feels safer than telling the truth. And if hiding can be learned, then honesty can be learned too. That may be the greatest hope I've ever found. Not that we erase our past, not that we undo every consequence, but that we are not forever defined by the ways we once learned to survive. We can learn another way. We can tell the truth. We can ask for help. We can stop measuring our worth by the masks we've worn. We can come home. For a long time, I thought home was a place. Looking back, home was the first moment I no longer had to pretend. If these conversations have taught me anything, it's that every person you meet is carrying a story you cannot see. Every family is carrying something. Every heart is fighting battles that rarely make headlines. And sometimes the greatest gift we can offer another human being isn't advice, it's safety. One place where pretending is no longer necessary. One conversation where honesty is welcomed. One reminder that surviving isn't the same as living. That's why Builder's Workshop exists. Not because we figured life out, but because we're willing to keep telling the truth, one conversation at a time. Before we part, let me leave you with one final question. If hiding was something you learned, what might become possible if you began learning honesty instead. Because maybe your story was never meant to become your prison. Maybe it was only ever the first draft. Every morning, life quietly slides another blank page across the table and asks, "What will you write today?" Standing here today, I realize something. The man who once stood outside these doors, believing his life was over, could never have imagined that one day he would return, not carrying shame, but carrying hope. Hope that someone watching this might finally believe they're not alone. Hope that someone might begin asking better questions. Hope that someone might take one honest step toward home. My name is Eric Harmon. Thank you for trusting me with part of your story. And if these conversations have helped you put words to something you've carried in silence, then every difficult mile has been worth walking. Because the road home isn't built in a single breakthrough. It's written one honest sentence, one honest page, one honest chapter at a time. I'll see you in the workshop.